Hi. Kristen, do you have a breakout rooms option?
No, I do not.
Okay, this is Kristen's. All right, so how are you doing?
It's all good, man.
Russ, this is Kristen. We're looking for the breakout rooms option.
I heard that, Kristen, and let me see, there should be breakout rooms, lock, enable, hide, share, chat, rename, and mute. Polls, participants.
Usually it's whoever is the host. So you might have to make me the host at some point.
Well, let me see here, Kristen, let me click on you.
I think you'll have to leave the meeting and reassign who the host is if you're going to do that.
Yeah, normally I can just click on the name and reassign that. But I'm afraid to leave the meeting because I'm the host and I'm afraid I'll shut the meeting down.
Yeah, when it comes time to do the break, do you have the option to do the breakout rooms? Because when it comes time to do it, you could just do the breakout rooms, create random breakout rooms. If you have the option, we don't necessarily have to do it. But I think only the host can do it.
Breakout rooms. All right. Yes, I can. You looking to use that feature?
Yes, so what we'll do, it will be in the last 2/3 of the presentation. And we will have you just randomly put people in groups of, probably depends on how many people we have on here, about 3 or 4.
We got 40 right now, so we'll see how many we get, and then
Let's go groups of 4.
groups of 4.
Mm-hmm.
We might, yeah, if we can't do that many just because of the number who join, we can.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. That's
we can make the groups larger.
All right. Well, someone got. All right, we're up to 30. 39, so 40. Anyway, just let me know and I'll enable the breakouts and just arbitrarily assign the number. However many breakout rooms you want.
Okay, thanks, Russ. We'll let you know.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started now. This is the Inclusive and Equitable Teaching Practices session. For those of you who are trying to confirm that you're in the right place, we're going to ask you to keep your mics muted. And if, as we're talking, you have questions or even just comments, you can interact with each other. You can also ask questions, and Kristen will monitor while I'm talking, and I'll monitor when Kristen's talking, and we can talk back and forth. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I hope everybody can see that. I'm Joanne Giordano from the English department, and Kristen Morley is from faculty development, and we are the co-facilitators of our institution's Equitable and Inclusive Teaching Practices course, which is an online course that is taken across 8 weeks with a cohort. It's available all semesters and in the summer. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that course later. My background is the research I do is on students' transitions to community college literacy, and particularly what are the conditions for learning and the types of activities they do that will best support them and help them work towards attaining a college degree. And Kristen does some work in faculty development, and she's an expert in instructional design. So I'm going to start by going over some definitions to make sure we're all on the same page about what really is equitable and inclusive teaching. I'm going to talk a little bit about design elements that we cover in our course, but also that you can do as a department or program in a field of study, or you can do individually as an instructor. And then halfway through, we've got some hands-on interactive activities to introduce you just a few quick practices that you can incorporate into your course. And we'll ask you to do a little bit of reflection to identify things that you might be able to do. And then you'll go into breakout rooms to kind of discuss and share the ideas that you have. So again, if you have questions or comments that you'd like to make, use the chat, and then we'll monitor that and we'll respond to any questions. And you can also communicate ideas with each other as I'm talking. And I just told you the session overview. So it's important when we do this work, especially when we think about teaching, that we define what we mean. So we just have 3 quick definitions, and we're talking specifically about courses. So a face-to-face classroom, an online learning environment, or a field study environment, wherever it is that students get together and learn and have contact with their instructors. Diversity in the context of a course can have 2 meanings. It can just mean that people from different social and cultural backgrounds are present. They're there in the room, they're there online, they're participating in the program. It can also just mean that there's diverse content. So that the activities, the learning, there's diversity that represents a variety of different backgrounds, and that is a good reflection of the identities and realities of community college students. So they can see representation in what they do. And it can also include things like representation of diverse ideas in a field of study, rather than just focus on one point of view. Equity is quite different from diversity. So equity means that all of the students in the course or in a program have equitable access to opportunities, to fair treatment, to the resources they need for student success, and that the processes that are used both to teach them, to place them in courses, and then to assess their learning and move them on out of the course or through a program, that those processes are equitable and fair. And so equity focuses on educational attainment for students from diverse social and cultural backgrounds, and focus on all students being able to learn. Inclusion is a little bit different, and it's closely related to equity. So it refers to when the instructor or the program or the institution have created conditions in which everyone can learn and everyone can be successful. And it also refers to just a sense of community. So every student feels valued, they feel safe, they have a sense of belonging within the community. And this extends beyond the classroom to the campus community. So those 3 terms are different, and they have a different role in course design and in teaching. And you need to be thinking about all 3 of those things if you're thinking about creating equitable and inclusive courses. So I'm going to start with a definition of equitable teaching, and then we'll talk a little bit more about inclusive teaching and how that's different from equitable teaching. So equitable teaching means that you as an instructor or your program as a whole have created conditions that give all students equal opportunities to learn. So regardless of their language background, their social background, whether they have disabilities, what their experiences were before they came to college, you've created conditions that everyone can learn. And it starts actually with placement and prerequisites and the sequence of courses in a program, not just necessarily in an individual course. So the program itself has to create equitable conditions for learning, and not just an individual instructor. Equitable teaching also just refers to the strategies we use in programs and in courses to just recognize that there are structural inequities, particularly for community college students. A majority of our students have faced some sort of inequities in their background that interfere with their ability to learn. And they interfere with their educational achievement. That's one of the reasons that they choose a community college. They may be first generation, they may be low income, they may have a refugee background, they may have mental illnesses or disabilities. It's not all of our students, but a majority of our students in a community college setting, and this is true nationwide, have something in their backgrounds that has interfered with their ability to make academic progress at some point, or potentially could if it hasn't already. And then the other part of it is just using fair and transparent processes for teaching the course, for assessing student learning. The students are clear on what they need to do to be successful, and you're clear and fair in the ways that you're assessing and getting students through your program and your courses. That's equitable teaching. So inclusive teaching is a little bit different. Remember, we talked earlier, I just mentioned earlier that inclusive teaching refers to the environment and the conditions for learning that are created. So inclusive teaching means that you use strategies for teaching in your course and in your program that helps all students who are enrolled do their best learning, regardless of who that student is, that you're thinking about every student in the class and not just a particular group of students. You're creating on purpose conditions for success. You're thinking deliberately about how you do that. You're responding to each individual student's unique needs. You're valuing their diverse perspectives and experiences so they feel welcome, sharing those ideas. And you also respect their cultural and social identities and their backgrounds and their learning experiences and their experiences they're having concurrently while they're enrolled in college. And you do those things and you create a sense of belonging in the classroom. So every student who comes to the classroom or comes into the program thinks, I belong in college. This is something I can do. I can learn here. And this is a good environment for me to be in. Okay. Now, one of the things that's really important if we're thinking about equity, diversity, and inclusion is that your course or the classroom can be diverse, but also be inequitable. So it's possible that your course, you've added critical race theory and feminist theory, or you've added diverse content. But if the things that you do in your class to assess student learning, or the policies you've created, or the ways that you teach create barriers for educational attainment, your course is inequitable, even though the content makes it seem like it's not. So that's what's really important. It's not just about adding diverse content. And that's where a lot of people in higher education, and I have to say, particularly at four-year universities, where they go off from having an equitable class, is they focus so much on the diversity of content and the perspectives that are introduced at the level of just what you're teaching students, and not focusing enough on how you teach students. So that's what we're going to think about today, is how do we help students, and what are the conditions for learning that we can create in our classrooms, and the strategies we can use so that every student can be successful. There are, for many community college students, structural inequities that create barriers to learning. And by a structural inequity or a systemic inequity, it means something that comes from society, from higher education, from an institution, or from a program that's sort of ingrained. It's just the way people do things. And it's rooted in social inequities and cultural inequities. It's not connected to students' choices necessarily, although sometimes it seems like it is. And I think it's really important to, as we're thinking about barriers to learning, that having policies in place that are supposed to create equity, or having laws in place that are supposed to make things equitable, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case if the policies at the institution aren't followed, or the laws that we have nationwide aren't followed. So a really good example of that is racism. We have many laws to prevent racism, but we still have a lot of racism because those laws aren't followed, or the policies that institutions create that are anti-racist are not followed. And in a community college setting, to have real true equity, we have to think about every person in the community and how we interact with each other and with our students. And so here's some inequities that you see frequently for community college students. And these are true for every institution, but there's a large percentage of community college students who face these barriers because of where they're coming from. So we have a lot of students, especially now with the pandemic, have no internet access at home. And that creates a barrier if they have to access those things online and they don't know they can go to campus and have consistent internet access. Our campus, we had campuses that were open during the early days of the pandemic when everything else was shut down, but we had students who didn't know that they could go there and access the internet. We have many students who they share a family study space, or they share a computer, and that creates barriers to learning, especially if the class is on WebEx or Zoom, and it has to be at a particular time. They may not have access to that. This is a problem that we had during the pandemic. We have students who have no control over their work hours. So they may have a consistent schedule, and then they pick their class schedule based on those work hours, but they work in the kinds of jobs where they have to meet high demands and they have to change that really quickly. And there's a lot of research showing that the people who have the least consistent schedules, even in the same jobs, who have the kinds of jobs our students have, are women and people of color, and particularly women of color. And so we have students that they may not be in class because they're working and they don't have control over that. And they have to make a choice between earning the money they need to do to stay in college and being able to participate in a course. We have a lot of students with food insecurity. We have students who lack access to mental health, which can interfere with their ability to complete their courses and do learning. We have many students with caregiver responsibilities that are very complex, and some of them are related to their cultural backgrounds and identities. For example, we may have students who need to not attend class because they have to translate for members of their family who are accessing healthcare. We have students who have unsafe living conditions, and that can sometimes be related to housing discrimination. And we have students with inadequate transportation that makes it difficult for them to even get to campus consistently. And one little financial problem can take away someone's access to a car or their ability to get to campus and drive there. So all of these things are frequently things that we will see in our classrooms in a community college. And so it's important when we're thinking about equitable policies, equitable teaching, that we can account for these factors in students' lives that may seem to us like sometimes that they're choices, but very often are not. They're circumstances of the students' lives. Okay. I want to just briefly, we're going to start to talk about some actual practical strategies. That's just sort of background information. We have a course, as I mentioned earlier, that's 8 weeks, and it includes on the front end an orientation that's really quick just to orient people to the course. And then there's a resource module. So it's open for over 10 weeks of time, but there's 8 weeks of instruction, and it's facilitated. Right now, Krista and I are the facilitators, and it introduces faculty or anybody at Salt Lake Community College who develops instructional materials or is teaching students. So it can include people like librarians or instructional designers or people who do tutoring work. Anybody who does that can participate. And it introduces you to practical teaching strategies. You have interaction with other instructors. You get feedback from us and feedback from the other instructors who are working on things. And there is adjunct compensation for it. So what I'm going to talk about now is something that you can all draw from regardless of whether you participate in the program. But at the same time, you can also start thinking about whether this is something that you would like to do in one of the 3 cohorts that we'll be offering over the next year. One of the things that our program does that is different from most of what you'll get out there is that we focus a lot on course design. And the reason for that is equitable teaching starts with the design of your courses. So you can have diverse content in your course. You can meet the needs of students from diverse backgrounds in your course in small pieces, but that's not necessarily equitable teaching. You can do a lot to create inclusive strategies in your course, but you still can have an equitable course. And the reason for that is equitable teaching means that the course is focused on student success and educational attainment for anyone who's in the course. And to do that successfully, you have to think about the entire course and how it fits together and not just add a few things here and there. Now, having said that, I don't want to get you overwhelmed and think you can't make changes, because you can make very small changes that make a big difference. But the most effective way to sit back and take a look at a course and change it in ways that support community college students from all backgrounds is to start with the level of course design. So you start from the moment of how the course is fitting together. This is work that can be done at the program level or at the individual instructor level. And some characteristics of an equitable course design. The first is most important is it's planned. You're not just randomly thinking about ways to throw inclusivity and diversity and inclusion into your course. You plan from the beginning before you teach a revised version of the course or before you teach a course for the first time to have it be equitable. It's purposeful. You're purposefully doing things that help students with educational attainment. It's very reflective. You're constantly assessing what you do. You take your existing course and think through the changes you need to make. You try to identify barriers to student learning and work through ways that you can help reduce or even eliminate those barriers. It's transparent. The way that you teach is transparent to students. The way that you're grading is transparent. What students need to do to be successful is transparent. And you have to identify what those practices are for yourself to make them transparent for students. And that's why it's part of course design. It's very student-centered. So for some people, the main thing they need to do when they revise their course is move away from instructor-centered ways of teaching to student-centered ways of teaching. And almost all the time, if you make the shift from instructor-centered to student-centered, your course will be more equitable. It's very learning focused. So it's not as much focused on delivery of content or delivery of instructors' ideas as it is to ensuring that students learn and thinking about learning goals of students and how we help them achieve those goals in an individual course or in a program. It's also process-based. And by that, it means that you deliberately think of your course and you scaffold how everything fits together. And you think about the learning processes and strategies that students need to know to be successful in your course and in your field of study. And you incorporate that across the course. So students understand the processes required for being successful. And you take them through the processes that you expect them to use, which enhances their understanding and learning in your field of study. It's a win-win for you and for the student because it prepares students for further work in your field of study, and it makes them more successful. It's also very disciplinary. So what happens and what looks equitable in one field of study is different from another. So you have to be thinking as you do this work, what are the best ways to teach students in this field? What are the principles that you have to draw from? What does equitable and inclusive learning look like in biology? And how is that different from history? How is that different from political science? How are the applied trades? What does equity look like in those courses, and how is that different from maybe academic programs? So these are some of the factors that you need to think about. And these are things, if you take the course, we'll support you with it. But these are also things that if you're doing program level work in your fields of study, you need to think about these issues. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. This is the framework that we use in our course, and it's also the framework that anybody here can use if you're starting to rethink what you do for your course. So redesigning a course means you start from the beginning and rethink what you do. So the most important thing is reorienting your thinking. Assess where you are and think about how you need to change. So it's reorienting your thinking towards a focus on students and learning. If your goal is to make your class more anti-racist, it's a reorienting of your thinking about what is and isn't racist in teaching practices. If your goal is to increase the number of students who complete the program, you're reorienting your thinking towards teaching and learning that supports that. The next thing is you have to assess what's working and what's not working. So it starts with an existing assessment of the course. If it's a new course for you, you can go back and assess what you did in the past with your teaching practices in the other courses that you taught. So you're thinking about here's what works, here's what doesn't work. And as you do that assessment, you identify barriers to student learning. Where are the roadblocks that make it really difficult for students to learn? Where are the roadblocks that are particularly difficult for students from some backgrounds? For example, non-traditional students who are returning adult learners. Do you have roadblocks for students with disabilities? Do you have roadblocks for multilingual students? Start to think about those issues. The next thing you think about, and sometimes you can do this after you've redesigned the course, but sometimes you think about it as part of the earlier stages of redesign work, is restructuring the learning environment. So that's the most important part. It's not delivering the content, it's creating conditions in that environment, in a classroom, online, or out in the field, that makes it possible to improve the learning for everyone in the course. And then you redesign the course itself. So you start with the beginning, you look at your objectives, you look at your assignments, you look at your activities. And it's not that you're creating everything new again. You're assessing the pieces that you have and fixing the ones that aren't working for students and adding things in or taking things out. That's what you're doing. And then when you've done that, you teach the course, but you have to reflect on your changes. So it's not just that you just do this and think, okay, I'm done. The most important part is once you've done it, you reflect on whether it's working, and you have a reflective practice as you teach the course, and then you continually adjust your strategies. And some of you probably already do this, but if you don't, this sort of reflective practice is one of the most important components of creating an equitable course. It's just ongoing because the student populations we have here change, the circumstances of their lives change. So a really big example is the last year, where we had not only a pandemic, but we also had major disruptions in people's work. We had an earthquake that interfered with students, and we had high winds in the fall that some students had damage they had to deal with. All of those things changed, and many of us had to change how we teach to adjust for some of those circumstances that our students faced, or maybe that we ourselves faced. So it's just an ongoing process. And if you take the class, you'll work through this, but this is also a plan that you can use regardless of whether you're going to take the course. And here's just some examples of the kinds of course redesign activities that you can engage in individually or with a department or program. And these are all things that you don't necessarily have to do all of them if you take our course, but you'll work on some of these components, or these are things that you can work on with a team of people in your own department and program. So one thing that's really an important thing to do is just assess your course goals and identify barriers to student learning. It might mean that you have to change your outcomes. Maybe your outcomes aren't aligned with the community college. Maybe your outcomes are working, but you have to identify the barriers that students have as they work towards completing those outcomes. And then you need to set equity focused teaching goals. And that's different from student goals. So student learning goals are what you want students to learn. And that's also on this list. Equity goals is what you want to accomplish as a teacher. What are you going to do? What are the changes you want to make to yourself and the way that you teach? And then you can also redesign the structure of a course. So sometimes it's looking at how everything's put together and changing that. Sometimes things need to be reordered. Sometimes things need to be taken out. Sometimes things need to be added to your course because there's parts of it that don't support students completing the course or moving on to the next course in a sequence of courses. You need to plan for an inclusive learning environment. So that's one thing that you can do before a class starts is sit down and think about all of the ways you're going to create a sense of community. You're going to eliminate barriers that make students feel like they don't belong in the course. You're going to be looking at what's actively happening in your online discussions or in your face-to-face classroom, or again, out in the field or other contact areas where students are working, and create an environment. It doesn't happen if you just add one thing in. It happens when you look at the entire learning environment and you plan ahead to have it be an inclusive environment for your students. You can create an equitable assessment plan. And this is one of the things we do with instructors in the course. So you think through how you're assessing student learning, how you're grading, thinking about all of the different ways that can be supporting student learning or taking away from student learning. And then create a plan for yourself for how to change it. And then when you teach the course, go through and make changes to your assessment activities, both the activities and the ways that you assess student learning. Another component you can do is design more equitable and transparent ways of assessing student learning. So you might decide that, yeah, I mean, I've got the activities, they're going to work, but you need to change how you deliver them to students. You need to make your expectations more clear. You need to make your assignment instructions more clear. And that's some of the things that we will work on in this course if you choose to take it. But it's a thing that also can be done really effectively within a department or program. You can have like a workshop where you bring your assignment instructions in and workshop it together to make sure that they're clear, that the language that's used is accessible to students, that your expectations are clear, that the ways that you're assessing students on those activities are also fair and equitable for students. One thing that's really important too is you can plan for scaffolded classroom support or accompanying online support. And by that, I mean, you may have a good plan for the activities you're going to do and how you're going to assess it, but scaffolding means you create learning opportunities throughout the entire course that help students complete those things. It might be activities you do in the classroom. It could be things that you do online. It could be taking a giant assignment and breaking it down into small pieces. That's what scaffolding looks like. And it's very, very difficult in a community college setting to have an equitable class if the learning is not scaffolded. If there aren't opportunities for students to learn how to learn in the discipline and how to successfully complete assignments. If they're just given a major project and they're all on their own, especially in the first year, that creates an inequitable learning environment for students. You can also purposely design activities to help students achieve the learning goals. And this might just be an outcome that exists for the program. It could be a diversity focused or equity focused learning goal you'd like your students to achieve. And you can take one activity and design something that will be more equitable in helping students achieve their goals in that area and achieve your goals for the course. And then another area, and this is the easiest thing to do, and it's the first thing you can do too, is assess and revise your syllabus and course policies. You can do a course policy audit. You can go through your class and look at all of your course policies and identify whether there's particular barriers for students. And we have some examples of that in a minute that you can take a look at. So this is just some examples of things that you could do to help you think about practical ways that you can do things. And I want you to start to think that this is exciting work to do and not necessarily overwhelming work to do. And it's something that is done best in groups of people within a department or program who have equity-minded goals that they would like to achieve together, because it's easier to do with other people than by yourself, but you can do it by yourself if you don't have a cohort of people in your program who would like to do it. The last thing I want to just talk about before I turn some time over to Kristen is one of the most important parts of this is creating an action plan. And by that we mean having a way that you think ahead about how everything fits together, and you develop a really practical, organized way of how you're going to do this. So you start at the beginning of the semester, rather than just like occasionally throwing something in. You take a little bit of time as you're planning your course and create an action plan for making your course more equitable and inclusive. And in some cases, adding more diverse content to the course. It can be a to-do list. It can be something you've scheduled out. It can be a spreadsheet, but you have an organized plan for yourself. So then when you teach, you can use your plan and you can implement it. And for some people, it's a task list. For other people, it's a list of goals and things they might do to accomplish each of those goals. It would look really different for different people. But if you have an action plan, you're more likely to have an equitable course where all the pieces fit together, instead of just an activity that's inclusive or an activity that's diverse. Your course itself will come together if you have a plan for doing it, and then you can take action. And then you use your action plan at the end of the semester when you've taught the course to reflect on, what did you accomplish? What didn't you do? What wasn't realistic because you didn't have enough time? And so what do you do next time? And it can be an ongoing part of your process of making your courses more equitable and inclusive. Last thing, it's important that you make small changes. And those small changes, though, need to be purposeful and planned. They shouldn't be random. They should be things that you're intentionally doing to create an equitable and inclusive classroom. Not just a fun idea you think you might try, but you need to think intentionally about what makes a particular activity or assignment or way of assessing student learning more equitable and inclusive than what you were doing before. I'm going to turn the time over for Kristen now, and we're going to walk you through. I know there's a lot of information to cover. We're going to spend the rest of the time walking you through some ways that you can think through starting points of really practical strategies. We have 3 strategies. All of these things are relatively simple to do. They're not complex as opposed to some of the bigger picture things that might require a whole program to do them. So I'm going to unmute and let Kristen talk now.
Thanks, Joanne. First of all, just a shout out. First of all, my name's Kristen Morley. I work in faculty development, and I know many of you, I know there are many on this phone or on this Zoom call today that I've met with. And just for a minute, I just have to say that I feel that I know there are a lot of staff on this call, but I just want, so forgive me, staff, for just a minute, but if we were in a big room, I would have all the faculty stand up because they deserve a standing ovation today. They have worked so hard over the last the last year, basically. And I just want you to know how much I've noticed it, and others at the college have noticed your efforts. And I know you're exhausted. I know you are tired and burned out. And I just want you to know that your efforts have not gone unnoticed. I have the pleasure of being in the Office of Faculty Development, and it is a fantastic job because I get to work with you all the time. I know that, I love pedagogy. That's why I have this as a job, but you guys really are why I like this job. Russell, do you mind putting up that slide show again? I'm not seeing it. Is that on my end, or what am I doing wrong here?
That,
Yeah,
you
okay, wait, you need to show it. Let me go to,
I
yeah.
am much better at pedagogy than I am at Zoom. Let's just put it that way.
There is the link, and actually other people can go in and copy the presentation if you want to too. Do you see the link there?
Okay,
In the chat.
but do I need to share this then?
Yeah, so if you open share
Okay,
it, because we switched from me to you, and so now I'm no longer sharing.
gotcha. Hang on, guys. I thought it would just keep going. Let's see, here we go. And how do I then go to the whole view? Sorry. Well, we are going to go with this. Sorry, guys. I'm not used to Google Slides. I'm used to PowerPoint. Okay. What we're going to do first is, this is a true workshop. We are going to be creating something here. We're going to take a look at your courses and let's see where we possibly may be. We may have some inequities, or we may have areas that could use a little bit of work. So strategy one, let's assess barriers to student learning first. So one idea that you can do is to do a low stakes activity to assess student learning that's early in the semester. Well, we're still early in the semester, so this is actually something you could still do right now. What you'll do is you would identify barriers to student success for the assigned activity. In other words, once you give this assignment that you are going to assess where they are, identify the barriers that are there and the possible areas where your students are struggling, especially individually where they're struggling. And maybe then at that point, 3, develop one new teaching strategy to support those students. Here are some examples. Let's see. And a reflection on course learning or prior experiences could be a low stakes assessment, a non-graded quiz on key concepts from readings. A short in-class writing activity could be one of these low stakes assessments, or a group quiz to identify unclear concepts. So using this as a strategy helps you know where your students lie. Okay, so we're going to go to, now I want you to think for a moment. Identify one activity that you might use in the first month of the semester, so now, to assess barriers to student learning. I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. Maybe even jot some ideas down. Think about what you're doing right now. I don't want you to, reinvent a whole week of your course, but just what's something right now that you could give to your students that could assess where they are, and that it's low stakes. That's the important part, because you're just assessing for where they are. This shouldn't be something that is of high value. Like I said, maybe a possible quiz that's either just for credit, but not necessarily couldn't harm their grade. While you're working on that, Russell, if you want to get us ready, we're going to break into breakout rooms. And we are going to, let's put maybe 4 or 5 in a breakout room. How many do we have on here, Russell?
We've got close to 95 people. So let me see. We've got 86, let's see, 85 per room with one room. So let's go to.
Let's go 6. How about 6? And I know that isn't the perfect, that's getting a little large for breakout rooms, but let's go ahead and go with 6 if it'll let us do that many.
That'll give us 13 participants per room.
No, sorry, 6 in a group. So let's go 13
6 in a group.
groups. How
then
about
we
that?
want
13 groups, 15 groups.
about 12 groups.
Sounds good. Let's try that. Okay, we're going to
Okay.
break into these. I'm going to give you 4 or 5 minutes. Talk about different strategies that you could use now and that you could start to see where these barriers are for your students. Keep in mind that also some of the challenges that you might face in doing this. Feel free to discuss those as well. There we go.
I didn't go into a room so I can monitor the time out here.
Russell? Can you hear me?
I can.
This is Craig Karen. I'm not in a room. How do I get into one?
Let's see.
You didn't see a screen pop up that was an invite to go to a room?
If I did, it was quick and it disappeared. It might have been there.
Let's see. I can close all the rooms. I can.
It's almost time to come back.
Okay.
We're getting it right on the time. So Russell, I think you're the one I think it has to give a warning and send them back in.
How much time do you want to give them?
It's enough time now. I think they can come back.
I'll give them about 1 minute.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, okay. That's enough time. I'm going to close the rooms. Actually, it sets the timer. So got 53 seconds and all the rooms will close.
Thank you. People are coming back.
Now we can see people.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we're having just kind of a Zoom circus today, aren't we? Thanks for your patience. It's always fun on Zoom, isn't it? No one's bored, no one's asleep, right? Well, don't answer that, but in fact, today I went to put my background, in a professional background, and it wouldn't let me. So there you go. You get to see skis on the wall. But anyway, okay. Let's go ahead and hear a few ideas that were shared. It sounds like we had 12 groups. Is there any group or just someone in general that would be willing to unmute and let us know what your ideas were to try something to get to learn more about your students in the first month or so of the semester, so you can start to learn their barriers that they're facing?
I mean, I think at a minimum, you just give us, like we talked about, the obvious one was ask them a survey, get them where, know some basic things about them. And I think one of the things that we specifically mentioned were, financial things that they might be running into, like do they have a laptop, for example, and are they available of the opportunities on campus? I don't remember who it was that said, but it's that you can actually get, a surplus laptop on campus. I mean, there's a lot of just knowing where they're coming from, knowing if they're actually ready for school. I mean, yeah, anyway.
Thanks, Andrew. That's great. Just a plain old survey. Yeah, sometimes we want to make this harder than it is. I like Carrie mentioned that she does a photo of you and a little bit about you or something, you know, anything even in that they can drop into Canvas. Joanne, did you see what Dan wrote? I know I saw Dan's name pop up. Dan, do you want to unmute and
I was just gonna second Andrew. That's exactly what we were talking about, just a survey and see where they are, right? Do they have a laptop? Do they have experience with biology? Where are they coming from? Exactly.
So one thing we might want to keep in mind, and we've noticed this came up in the course last semester, which by the way, I'm just going to shout out for this course. It's fantastic. Is we said we've got to be careful though. There are going to be some students who will not disclose they don't have these things, or will not disclose that they need help, or will, you know, a lot of faculty might say, hey, just come to us and let me know if you need an extension, or they won't feel that's not in their cultural makeup, especially we've heard that, or we've seen the research showing that that's a white middle class value to speak up for yourself. And so if that's not all the students we have, which it clearly is not, we have got to create an environment that allows for people to be honest in a way where they don't have to out themselves. So maybe even an anonymous survey if needed, or if you see something's up, talk to them personally. That may be something. Challenges include not assuming that someone might have a specific barrier of access and that resources are provided uniformly. Yeah, of course. Thanks, Holly. Lots of ideas in the chat. Okay, we are going to move to the next one. Let's go to strategy 2. Again, another strategy that you would see if you were working in the class, okay? Add an assessment method. Select an existing course assignment, test, or other activity for assessing student learning. Revise the assignment to reduce barriers to student learning. Identify one additional method for helping students demonstrate their learning, and develop a new assessment activity and assign it as a new option. Here's some examples. And this is important as you go to design new assessments. First of all, think about this. We assess what we want them to know. And so, or let's back up on that maybe. I'm gonna even push back on my own statement there. We assess what we as a community value that they know. And those are the outcomes that you have in your courses. So hopefully they're the outcomes that you have in your courses. So those outcomes are really what you're assessing, not so much every chapter or all the content found within those chapters, although the content probably adds to those outcomes. But keep that in mind as you're developing these different assessments, that you may be able to, I mean, what you've traditionally asked for, a 6-page paper, may not be the only assessment you could use with your students. Give yourself, here are some examples. This is just a short list. I know many of you are doing this. Karen Kwan gave some great ideas today on how she asks her students to display their knowledge. I know Katerina Salini, for instance, when she gives assessments, she even gives them the number of assessments she wants them to complete. Complete 6 out of these 8 assignments, for instance. And so it gives them the freedom with their schedules, as well as maybe with their knowledge and their ability, or their I don't want to say learning style, because it kind of gets a bad rap, but everyone has a learning preference. Okay. We're going to skip over that discussion because I like the last one. I don't know if it's a pet for me, but we're going to go to strategy 3 because we're running out of time. And that is policies. Change one policy, or at least, even if you're not going to change it right now, at least be willing to look at your policies. Are they equitable? Are they inclusive? Look at your syllabus. Are your policies, identify these policies or approaches to teaching that might potentially create the barriers? Is it your policy itself that's creating the barrier? Is the barrier that the student has not going to allow them to succeed in your class with your current policies. Make one change to your syllabus. Here's some examples of course policy changes that some people have considered using. First of all, just the wording of the policy. Sometimes we get in this mentality that we are writing a legal document, and this syllabus is a legal document that, I mean, come on, none of us read the legal documents. They're not going to read it either. And they also have a fear button in their mind that gets shut on sometimes when we're using language that is not friendly, that is not, that doesn't show that you support them or that you believe in them. So that's one idea. And you can look down through some of those. An inclusive communication policy. How about a late work policy to accommodate students who work full-time, have a mental illness, have a disability, have a personal emergency, are a parent, whatever? You're going to have issues come up. And I'm going to even argue that sometimes what they use as, or what their reason is, may not even be your business. And that's, I know a lot of people sometimes might push back on that, but just consider that. Create opportunities for students to make up missed in-class work, possibly. Add student choice to assignment completion requirements, revise policy language, we just talked about that, and then adjust office hours to accommodate online students who work full-time. I know I have a lot of adjunct probably on this call or on the Zoom meeting. And one of the, if you were in Jawan Kadri's session, the last hour, one of the students mentioned that many of her teachers didn't have office hours. Well, 800 of our 1,100 faculty members don't have office hours because they're adjunct faculty and they're not required to have office hours. So some other method that will help you be able to communicate with your students. And again, I'm not advocating for adjunct faculty to do more unpaid work, but I am saying that could be an issue that's creating inequities in your course. So keep that in mind. Let's go to, so let's break out again. I want you to think of an example. Do we have time?
No, but I think what we could do, what we can do is have people just
Okay, just
give their
that's a
ideas
good
in
idea.
chat, because then we have
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Either use the chat or, I don't care, unmute yourself. Give an example of a course policy or a teaching practice that creates equal access to learning for all students. Can you, these are harder, I'll be honest, because these, I'm honest with this. Sometimes if I change my policy, it makes my life more difficult. So you've got to like do this kind of game here.
Now, notice the language is asking you to think of something that would be effective to support equity, not a negative one. We could probably, I'll think of a lot of bad practices, but this is asking you to kind of orient yourself towards something that would be a good practice.
Or maybe something you already do, because I'm sure many of you have created policies already that maybe some of us would be interested in hearing. I'm going to stop sharing just so we can see each other better. I'd like to see everybody. I dissolved my late work policy due to the weirdness this virus has caused. Jeff Huffman. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it's, I always say, go back to the outcome. What's the outcome? What do you want them to know by the end? Can they do that a week later? Is that going to cause a problem? I don't know. That's, I mean, these are things you've got to work out on your own. Emily Putman agreed, a ton of flexibility with due dates.
Maybe just a standard grace period for due dates. Everything except for exams. Yeah, that might be a little different, but maybe everything else is a 3-day grace period or something.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea from Carrie about no questions asked, that removes a huge barrier for some students. If even if you don't have, if whatever it is there's no, the students don't have to tell you the reason why it's late, because sometimes those reasons are things that they don't want to disclose.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I had to bail my brother out of jail last night. I mean, what does that look like to someone that's terrified even of higher ed in general, and they're new to this? So just, I mean, keep these things in mind.
Can I add to that?
Sure, Carrie, thanks.
Yeah, that one, I've used forever, and it has worked so well for me, so well. The only thing they, like I said, the only thing they have to do is let me know before the critique or before the project is due. But what I've noticed over the years is not that many people take advantage of it. They know it's there, they know they can use it, but they don't necessarily take advantage of it. But again, I don't care what they use it for. In fact, I tell them, don't tell me what you're using it for. It's fine. Now, I use a 10% off for late work on my online class, and that was at the suggestion of other teachers a long time ago that taught online, and that has actually worked really well for me since I had to take all my classes online. That just a few people take advantage of it. I think if they see something, that there's something there that's available to them, then they feel a little better about things. Okay, and I'll sign off.
And be careful. I'm just going to reiterate this again. Be careful I'm not speaking just to you, Carrie, just to all of us, because I fall in this category at times, is there will be some students that will take advantage, or not take advantage, will take you up on these offers. And there may be some who don't dare to. And that's the hard part, because then what do you do? And how do we make it equitable? And sometimes we might have to go to them and just, this is your gift, use it.
Well,
I don't know.
That's true. And you're absolutely right. I have gone to students that I see that are quiet, that don't speak up or whatever. I do go to them personally, not in class, or I'll pull them aside or something.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, very good.
On that point, actually, I think it's important that, especially during the pandemic, chase those students down. I mean, like, everybody's gone through some stage, since March, where you felt high levels of anxiety, even felt severe depression. Where I'm like, I am a super positive, optimistic-minded person. And like last fall, doing my hybrid classes with just 6 students and only teaching them for like 30, 35 minutes, my whole teaching, construct, like, completely, caved in on me. And so, like, for about, a week to 10 days, I was like, totally hit that, like, I lost control. So I had that anxiety and I felt a little depressed. I'm like, I can't deliver to my students. What am I going to do? And I think, it's important that we recognize, that students are struggling, and, they're just going to, they're just going to keep digging that pit. So, I mean, I will send 4, 5, 6 emails to students and be like, hey, seriously, like, let me help you out. Let's get you to pass this course. Let's figure this out. Like, you can do this. And I think just having that overt faith in them helps them find faith in themselves. And if it's only like one teacher and all the rest of the teachers aren't reaching out, or maybe 2 or 3 teachers are reaching out, but not, 5, 6 teachers, those are the ones that, like, okay, I'm going to make the effort in this class because somebody believes in me and I can, like, I can focus on it and put some energy into it. And so, just think from your students' perspective about, like, oh man, how horrible would I feel right now if I was as far behind in this class as they were? Because
exactly,
I was that student in my math classes, and it's like, anytime somebody reached out to help me out, I was like, oh, thank you.
We're not any different than them. We aren't. I see some ideas there of, Mara, providing templates and structure, a checklist. I like Lee's comment. In my industry, working on deadlines is important. And this is an argument for deadlines. I like what he says here, though. He says, I require that something be submitted by the due date in order to get extra time to complete the work. Sometimes the battle might be just getting going and helping that student get over that hump of trying to get going. But yeah, Lee, that's a great idea. One more comment. Dan, let's go with Dan Carpenter.
I just wanted to point out something that, as great as all this is, and I'm all in to doing what I can, but, this can all get really overwhelming. I mean, we get bombarded with seminars and classes and instructions and online tutorials and all of this stuff about how to be more equitable and all this. You can't do everything. And there are going to be some inequities that are just intractable, and you're not going to be able to reach everybody all the time. And so I would just warn people, and I try to heed this advice myself, that I try not to get stressed out so much, because you feel like you have to reach everybody. You have to do this for everybody. And if anybody falls through the cracks, then you're to blame. And I don't think that's true. And
Yeah,
so,
be careful with that, because that will only lead us all down a road that isn't healthy. Go ahead, Joanne.
I was gonna say, in a community college setting, we really can't think that we can save everyone. We try to set the course up so that we can, but because of all those structural inequities in their lives, they will interfere with what's happening with our students. And we can't single-handedly fix society, but we can just do our best in our own situations.
This has been a great discussion today. I wish we could go on longer, but you know what? It's Friday afternoon and I have a feeling you all want to go somewhere else. So let me just give a shout out for this course. This course is called Equitable and Inclusive Teaching. It's found in the faculty development. Let me just start over. Go to My SLCC, go to the employee tab, look for register for training, and it is called Equitable and Inclusive Teaching. It's 16 hours, roughly 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. It's a commitment, but I think you will be glad you did it, because it gives you some structure around these ideas, this discussion, and what you can do. Also, adjuncts, you are compensated for those 16 hours. So, it's roughly a, I don't know, $400 deal. So, not a bad gig, although I realize it's time, and that's what all of us struggle with. Thanks, Dan, for those ideas that you shared as well. Any questions or last comments before we jump off today? Is it offered again in the fall? Yes, it's going to be offered every semester, so just watch for it. There's also, it's not just a one and done course. There are different levels you can go to past the course to continue working on this work. Again, so that we don't get so overwhelmed that we have to do it all in one 8-week session. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. And this is an effort that we all make that really takes us our whole career. And anyway, kudos to you. Like I started out with, standing ovation again from at least the faculty development office. It's great to work with all of you. Please look at some of the other options. If 16 hours feels a bit too much, there are some other courses in there that are online that are, oh, and by the way, this course I've been talking about is online. You do it when you can. It's asynchronous. There are other asynchronous courses that are much shorter if you'd like. But we'd love to have you interact with us. And it's amazing to see all of you in here today. Have a good day. We are having a closing session where we'll talk a little bit more about faculty development opportunities, as well as the faculty dashboard that is available to you to see your analytics of your courses. So we'll go over that just a little bit in that. So I might see you in a few minutes, some of you. Have a good day. Keep up the fight.